"I'm sure you'll find your kind there," my wife said, her eyes glinting coldly over the rim of her champagne flute. Her mother chuckled, lips curled into a smirk. "That dirty pub across the street suits you perfectly." Laughter followed, crisp and cruel, rolling across the pristine dinner table at the sound of glass shattering. They all laughed, her family, their friends, dressed in silk and dripping with superiority, clinking their crystal and savoring their own reflections. Every seat at the long, candlelit table was taken. Every seat but mine. I smiled, not wide, just enough to say, "Noted. I'll do just that," I said, my voice even. No drama, no parting words, just a nod to the waiter as I stepped out into the thick August heat. They thought I'd bluff, that I'd stop halfway, maybe glance back, maybe beg for dignity. But I didn't stop. I walked straight into that pub, the one they mocked, and when I turned at the door, I caught them through the window. Their laughter had died, faces pale, eyes locked. That's when I knew. I'd never been more certain of anything. When I first met Leela, I believed she was different. Sharp, witty, beautiful in the kind of way that didn't beg for attention, but always received it. She had opinions, ambition, a hunger for more. I admired that. She said she admired my discipline. A corporate litigator with clean suits, a quiet life, and values that didn't bend for anyone. I was never the most charming man in the room, but I believed in structure, in loyalty, in respect. I thought she did too. For a time, maybe she did. We married after 16 months. Her family disapproved, of course. She loved that. She said she enjoyed making them uncomfortable. I mistook rebellion for love. But 6 months into the marriage, I saw the subtle unraveling. Her phone, always face down. Girls' weekends that came back with new jewelry and the scent of unfamiliar cologne. Conversations where I was present, but invisible. I tried not to react. Try to believe it was in my head. You convince yourself the shadows mean nothing if the house still feels warm. Then one evening, a notification popped up on her laptop. Her iMessages had synced automatically. One careless detail unraveled everything. Tonight was perfect. He's too dull to notice anyway. From her sister's husband, the same man who toasted us at our wedding. The same one who now sat beside her at her birthday dinner, hands slipping beneath the tablecloth to brush her thigh. I didn't confront her. That was the gift I gave myself. No screaming, no scenes. Instead, I began documenting. Quietly, meticulously. Over the next 64 days, I built a case, not just emotional, but surgical. While Leela enjoyed full access to our joint finances, the mortgage, the investment accounts, she didn't realize I had already moved the majority of our liquid assets into a private trust. Quietly, legally, securely. She didn't know the luxury apartment we lived in was titled to me alone. She hadn't noticed that her name had quietly vanished from everything. I gathered screenshots, voice notes, call logs. I positioned the camera near the restaurant where we celebrated her sister's birthday, angled from the pub window, where I sat with a drink in hand. It caught exactly what I needed. Her and her brother-in-law slipping into the alley, their hands all over each other, unaware of the lens, watching in silence. When the final piece slid into place, I filed for divorce. No contest, grounds, adultery, with documentation. My attorney, a former classmate who owed me more than a few favors, drafted it to perfection. I sent 2 anonymous packages. One to her father, a hard, moral man who believed in right and wrong, no shades between. The second to her sister, with every piece of evidence. I even included an invitation. Let's talk about your husband's business dinners. 3 weeks later, I invited Leela to dinner. A rooftop bar, neutral ground. Quiet, white tablecloths, cold wine, sunset behind the skyline. She arrived in silk and arrogance, her guilt dressed up as confidence. "I was wondering when you'd finally grow a spine," she said, smirking. I slid a folder across the table. She didn't open it at first. Then she did, slowly, page after page. Dates, photos, locations, screenshots. I watched her face collapse in slow motion. "I didn't want to humiliate you," I said. That's why this is private. You can't prove anything. I already have. Silence, then a bitter laugh. You think this makes you powerful? That folder? You'll still be alone. I took a sip of wine, let the crisp chill settle on my tongue. That's the point. The fallout began 2 days later. Her sister filed for divorce, loudly, messily. Her father cut her off completely. The trust fund vanished overnight. Her mother, who once laughed at my quiet demeanor, tried calling. I didn't answer. My firm offered me a transfer to New York. More power, bigger clients, quieter life. I said yes without hesitation. The last time I saw Leela was at the courthouse. She looked smaller, not physically, but in presence. The weight of who she pretended to be had cracked. The mask was gone. You planned this, she whispered. Yes. You're a monster. I didn't argue. I just nodded once. No, I'm just quieter than you thought. That pub across the street, it became part of my routine. Once a week, one drink, alone, no expectations, no games, just a place where I could be completely unseen. Sometimes people from that dinner walk past. They catch sight of me through the window. I see their eyes widen. I see the memory return. I raise my glass, and they look away. That's enough for me.